y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at the Bob's Burgers collection that is available right now from Never Enough Polish. These polishes were sent to me for review, and I'll link her storefront and social media down below. They are available right now and selling out fairly quickly, so if you're interested, definitely hop on over and check them out. So first up is Linda, and Linda is a very bright red polish with a good amount of gold flaky shimmer running throughout. I think that this one is sold out individually, but it is still available when you purchase the entire collection. This was definitely one of my top picks. Also, I want to mention really quickly that these bottles are a total glam up. The label is now on the bottle. It's not a sticker or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about it lifting. So there's a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Linda swatched on my natural nail. First off, every time I swatch a Never Enough polish, I'm going to absolutely brag on their brush. I love it. It's thicker, makes for really easy application. Linda made for amazing coverage at one coat. I'll let it dry and show you how it builds up with a second coat. So at one coat, I did still have a tiny flash of nail line that was a little bit hard to catch on camera, but it was definitely there. Two coats for sure brings this one completely opaque. I had no issues with the formula at all. I did have to do a little bit of cleanup there with acetone and a cleanup brush. So here's a look at that completed mani at two coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. So this one does dry down just a little bit dull, but a good top coat goes a long way to adding a ton of that shimmer. So this is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle again under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Jean, and this was a surprise favorite for me. This is a very bright yellow, but it has a strong blue shimmer running throughout. It was a little bit subtle on the nail, but definitely still evident. Really gorgeous and super summery. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Jean swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, with this brush, it just makes application an absolute breeze. One coat went on really nice, really evenly. I did have a few brush strokes and it was quite sheer. So I'll go ahead and let that dry and show you how it built up with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I am going to go in a little bit thicker with this one because I know it tends to be more on the sheer side. Two coats brought this one really close to being completely opaque, especially with that strong shimmer running throughout it. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and show you how it built up for me in a third coat. So here's a look at that third coat. Again, I am going in a little bit thicker here, but it does bring this one completely opaque. I definitely do prefer this one at three coats. So here's a look at that completed mani at three coats before a glossy top coat. This one dries down maybe a little bit dull as well. I think it'd be awesome with a matte top coat to help bring out the shimmer too. This is my swatch photo underneath the artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Luis, and this is a beautiful way to show this character. It's an olive green, but with a very strong pink shimmer for her bunny ears. Very beautiful combination, and I'm really feeling that olive green base. I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot, and I'll show you how Luis swatched on my natural nail. So here's a quick look at that first coat. This one does go on just as smooth and easy as the others. I feel like this one might be a little bit more thin, and it was also a little bit more sheer, but it's definitely going to build up well on itself. I'll go ahead and let this dry and show you how it builds up with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I am going to go in a little bit thicker with this polish as well. I had no issues with it pulling or anything on me. Two coats made for a very nice and even coverage, but it was still a little bit sheer. I had a good flash of nail line going on there. If you have shorter nails, you may not have to worry about this, but I am going to go ahead and show you how it built up with a third coat. So here's a look at that third and final coat. I did go in a little bit thicker here, but it did push this one right over the edge to being completely opaque. That shimmer is super gorgeous on the nail, a little bit subtle, but definitely there. So here's a look at that completed mani at three coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. This is my swatch photo, again under that same artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle. So next up is Tina, and as I speak now, this one is still in stock. This is a denim blue with a very strong linear holographic effect, as well as a very strong blue metallic shimmer. So Tina is one of my favorite characters, and this polish is definitely doing her justice. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Tina swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. This one goes on so smooth, so easy, no issues with brush stroking at all. It was a little bit sheer at one coat, but it made for a nice even base. I'll go ahead and let that dry and show you how it built up with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I did go in a little bit thicker here, but I don't necessarily think that you need to. This did build up perfectly opaque for me in two easy coats. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. I definitely do recommend a glossy top coat even though it's fairly glossy here to help bring out all of that metallic shimmer as well as holographic. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting and then once more at an angle. So lastly today I have Bob, and this is definitely a unique polish within my collection. This is a very silvery light base with a strong linear holographic effect, as well as an assortment of white matte hex glitters and circle glitters to represent his apron. So here's a look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Bob swatched on my natural nail on its own. I think that this could also be used as a topper, but it does build up pretty well. I was actually really surprised. Here's a look at that first coat, just a nice little flush of linear holographic and those white matte glitters. Here's a look at that second. I am going in fairly thick with this polish to help it build up. Those white matte glitters really go a long way to adding good amount of coverage. I'll go ahead and let that dry and show you how it built up with a third coat. This third coat is almost like magic. It just goes on smooth, evens everything out, and pushes this one right over the edge into being completely opaque. When I swatched this really quickly to the side of my black mat, it did act as a topper, but it definitely did silver out the black, so you may want to be mindful of that. Here's a look at that completed mani at 3 coats before a glossy top coat. So this does dry down fairly flush without much texture, but of course I do recommend a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo once more at an angle under artificial lighting. And that wraps up my swatch and review of the Bob's Burgers collection. Again, these are available right now. I think that these are going to be restocking as well, so if you miss out on it, definitely check back and I'll try to update in the description box. If you'd like to see more photos, I do have those available on my blog at sloppyswatches.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.